Good morning. I'm Vipin Kumar, and I'd like to welcome you all to this workshop on Gen AI for Science and Engineering. I'd like to also acknowledge all the organizers who are here, many of them from University of Minnesota colleagues, and also our alumni, Professor Anand Grama, who's here from Purdue University, and Anuj Korpatne, who is here from Virginia Tech. And again, this is an exciting event for us. I'll just give a brief introduction before we get to the morning presentation. It's just a very brief introduction to the overall workshop, the motivation. So we are here because we all know the AI revolution is here. It's poised to fundamentally advance human capabilities. We have all seen it. If you were not convinced, when we saw the ChatGPT come out just about 3 years ago. It's driven by growth and simultaneous growth in three different areas: big data, high performance computing, and machine learning. And there's a lot of hype, but there's a lot of substance. And it's a time where nobody can afford to ignore this technology. So it's already disrupting science and engineering, all aspects of science and engineering, no matter which branch of scientific discipline you are in, you can feel the impact. You can already see some of the state of the art work being done, some of the frontiers being advanced in every field you can imagine, ranging from climate modeling. You see some of the most advanced weather models and climate models work being driven by AI. The drug discovery to fight COVID-19, for example, was enabled by the AI advances, and designing new materials so that we can go into the zero carbon world. You can sort of move to the zero carbon economy. You need lots of different kinds of materials, and they're being designed now by this technology. But above all, there's a focus on the labs of the future. That is, you can use entirely different ways of putting things together for the experiment. The way the experiments are being done in the lab are going to be completely different because of the technology that's coming up. Okay? So science will clearly is being transformed by AI, but one of the core themes of this meeting is that science will also transform AI. And if you look at all of the advances that you see around you, driven by in AI, they're driven by two domains. You can call them scientific domains as well: computer vision and language modeling. Everything that you see around, it literally came out of those two, the work of AI in working those domains. And those advances have been extremely helpful in different scientific disciplines. But the anticipation now is that the next revolution in AI would include a much wider class of scientific domains, many of the ones that are being worked on in this audience, for example. And also the scientific principle must integrate with future Gen AI methods, because that's how the AI will advance. Okay? Now, some of this actually was reflected in the directives on artificial intelligence coming in from this current administration. So if you look at this first executive order that sort of came out in July 2025, America's AI Action Plan. And it's a beautifully written document. It's a long document. It covers a lot of different things, but it has an entire section devoted to AI for science. So it sort of talks about the fact that science itself would be transformed by AI. We already have seen that around us. But AI will enable new innovations for which terminology does not exist. And I think this is a very important statement, because a lot of the things that you're seeing today around you, especially generative AI, 10 years ago, you wouldn't even imagine anything like that, right? Or the pieces that enabled it did not exist even 5 years ago, right? So things are happening in a very, very rapid time scale, which means who knows what innovations are yet around the corner. And of course, they're going to come from people like you, in the audience. Okay? And just as generative AI system represented a paradigm shift, future breakthroughs may similarly transform what's possible with AI. So what's possible is actually coming. We have seen a lot, but we're going to see a lot more, right? And as they put it very nicely in this report, that AI is an industrial revolution, an information revolution, and a renaissance all at once. So this is a pretty profound statement. So this was the more of a high-level document that came out from the White House in July of 2025, about 6 months ago. And then they followed it up about 10 weeks ago with the Genesis mission. And this is much more specific. America AI Action Plan was much broader. And this Genesis mission focused entirely on AI for science. Okay? So if you read this document, it's about a coordinated national effort to accelerate AI-enabled scientific discovery. It's comparable in ambition and urgency to the historic Manhattan Project. That sort of the nation undertook, literally 6 decades ago. And the aim is to establish an integrated AI platform with vast federal scientific data sets. Of course, it's coming from the federal government, but the aim is to train and domain-specific foundation models to test new hypotheses and automate research. So basically, this is exactly what we would like to see the AI for science directions. Now, it basically then the directive came out in middle of end of November, and since then a series of requests of information have been coming out, probing the community at large, asking them for information, and these are the bullets that they're looking for, right? How do we curate scientific data for use in AI models, as opposed to taking everything on the web and then building bigger and bigger model? How do you use much more relevant data for the problem that you need to solve a scientific problem? But you can expect ChatGPT or chatbots like that to work on the kind of problems many of you are interested in. Develop self-improving models, AI models for science and engineering. Remember this, the focus is entirely on science and engineering. Serve as a force multiplier for executing America's AI Action Plan to advance scientific discovery. And again, the last one sort of does the marriage of both of these. How do you best combine the general purpose AI models, the kinds you're seeing from these commercial companies, for example, those focused on language and reasoning capabilities, with AI models trained on scientific and engineering data? So you can sort of see that this is where, of course, the thinking is going, right? The focus is not just on scientific development, but also training the new workforce, because this revolution cannot succeed if the people, the computer scientists keep developing the AI technology. Eventually, it has to be the science, the development has to happen together with AI and scientific community. So this is about harnessing the nation's leading capabilities in AI to revolutionize science innovation in the nation, double the productivity of the impact of American science and engineering in a decade, and addressing some of the most challenging problems of this century. Again, the focus is on solving some of the most relevant societal problems. Train a workforce of 100,000 American scientists and engineers to lead the world in AI-powered science and innovation, and establishing an AI for science and engineering pipeline at the undergraduate and master's level, focused on dual competency in AI and in scientific engineering discipline. Now, the last part, of course, you can sort of see, nobody was talking about it a few years ago, right? So now everybody realizes, and again, this is, of course, came out, this bullet came out in the RFI that was issued just a few weeks ago, but already in many universities in the nation, and we have Anand Gama from Purdue, already people are thinking about this, right? And again, at Minnesota, Jim Wilgenbush is here, and then we have our own research task force and education task force, and we are moving in this direction. So everybody's thinking as to how do you build up this infrastructure to train the next workforce. And as I said, this mission is evolving very, very rapidly. The administration is trying to see how do you formulate the strategy at the interface of AI for science. And the material in this bullet just showed up yesterday evening. Okay? They basically sort of issued a list of 29 high-level problems. I put 10 of them here, just for the brevity, but for the full list, you can go to this bar chart, and it's the Generation Mission, National Science and Technology Challenges, and basically these are no matter who you are in any scientific discipline, you can find a bullet that corresponds to you. You could be working on power, grid, you could working on grids, you could be developing materials, you could be working on particle accelerators. You will find yourself in this place. Okay? So this, what I showed you in the last few slides, is what happened at the federal level in the last 6 months. Literally, all of this drumbeat of AI for science started middle of July. But many of us actually have been pushing for work at this intersection in AI for science for many, many years. So we held the first workshop at NSF headquarters in 2023. This grew out of a conversation we were having back in 2022, almost 3.5 years ago, on the same topic, that is, next evolution in AI is probably going to be driven by science. So this was the workshop that was held at the NSF headquarters, again, by University of Minnesota, sponsored by NSF. And it published, it sort of, it resulted in a report and new solicitations. The second version of this workshop, focused entirely on generative AI, was held at the University of Minnesota in 2024. A report came in from this one, and again, here is the copy of the report in Spring on Nature's Artificial Intelligence Journal. And the third workshop on this topic was held again in 2025 August, and you can get more information about it from the barcode here. So we have been sort of pushing this direction, anticipating that this is where the big action is going to be. And again, the time has come for our community to push in this direction. So what is the goal for this workshop, that we are gathered to be for? Number one, of course, is we want to sort of introduce the core Gen AI components and its evolution for scientific applications, and highlight the essential role of scientific knowledge for advancing Gen AI frontier. This will be the focus of the morning tutorial talk that you will hear from Professor Anuj Karpatne and Professor Aryan Deshwal in the next 90 minutes. Then we have an entire section in the middle of the workshop, which sort of allows our faculty and students opportunity for showcasing their research at the interface of Gen AI and sciences. We also funded, the initiative also funded a number of seed grants last fall just on this topic. You will hear about presentation from those talks, and then in the afternoon we have a much wider set of people who are working on this topic, and there's about 15 talks that you will hear, we call them lightning talks. You get a sense of what people are working on, and it allows everybody to learn from each other as to what their strengths are and how we could build a community. And the last, we have a concluding panel at this meeting, which is examining emerging national directions in AI for science, including the Genesis mission, which is the beginning. Genesis mission, as I showed you, came in as a directive to be led by Department of Energy, but it's going to be influencing every single federal agency. Already the NSF and the NASA and the NIST and Department of Defense, every one of these agencies is sort of being directed to refocus their efforts aligned with Genesis, which is AI for science. And again, a big objective of this entire workshop is to see how universities, academic institutions can serve as strategic and mission-aligned partners in advancing AI-driven discovery and workforce development. So, and I think the last slide just gives you a little bit of a structure of this meeting. We are running a little bit behind schedule, but perhaps not that far. We have the tutorial that's coming up, Gen AI for Science and Engineering, Foundations, Frontiers, and Role of Scientific Knowledge, Anuj Karpatne and Aryan Deshwal. Then we'll have seed grant awardee showcase featuring our faculty. This session would be moderated by Professor Vukmantich. We have a poster sparkler in which a number of students here would be sort of giving 1-minute presentation on their posters, and the poster would be on display during the lunchtime. And then at 1:15, we'll come back for additional lightning talks by our faculty. And then at 2:30, we'll have a panel moderated by Professor Anand Grama, and we'll be joined by a few program managers. So with that, let me stop and thank you all for coming. And let me also introduce Anuj Karpatne. He's a professor at Virginia Tech, and we are proud to have him as an alumni. And of course, his research at the University of Minnesota actually